This is Inspirational Women, a weekly series shining the spotlight on female trailblazers making a true difference in our community. Once again, here is Kate Daniels.
Annette Smiley is the director of the Union Gospel Mission's Women and Children's Shelter. The thing that makes this so remarkable is Annette's own story of abuse and addiction and her recovery to bring her to this place. It's a powerful story of healing and one that Annette believes is available to everyone. Annette Smiley, good morning, and I thank you so greatly for being with us this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I have to say, I watched a video on the Union Gospel Mission's website about you. You had me melting in tears, and I'm so in awe of who you are, what you've done with your life. It's such a testament, isn't it, to what is really possible and to never give up.
Yes, it is. It brings, and even as I think about my own story, because you never forget, right? And continuously it brings me reminded hope. We have life, we still have life and go through things, but it's always a reminded hope of how we can overcome stuff.
Yes. And when you say, you still remember these things, we all remember the past, but if we deal with it, if we face it, it's like a wound that begins to be taken care of and heal. So the scar is there, you remember, but it doesn't have all that pain, and it doesn't mean you have to continue in the same way.
Yeah, that's right. You're just reminded of God's goodness, and even though you look back at it, you're right. You're absolutely right. You still don't feel the pain, but you actually feel the hope, and you're encouraged. I'm encouraged, and that leads me to be able to encourage someone else that is going through similar things because I can look back and draw from all of that and then thank God for where I am today. And that enables me to be able to encourage someone else.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's where that authenticity makes such a difference. It's not just a theory, a whole an idea like, oh, well, maybe this will work. No, you've lived it, you experienced it, and oh, how that must be like this beacon for the women and the families you work with.
It's really amazing. I mean, it truly is. It just speaks of the power of God and to be able, in the authenticity. I think that's what captures people. Like when you can be real and you can really speak to their pain and speak to their stories, and they can sense that. They can sense that. And it does something inside of it, draws people to your story, and then that leads me to be able to speak life and to speak hope and to speak truth and to speak healing, and then it begins to build relationships that they can relate to, because a lot of people come out of their trauma. They come out of a lot of broken relationships and they can't trust easily, but when you can relate to what they're doing in a compassionate way, in a caring way, it draws them to you.
Yes. And I'm sure that's the feedback you get either verbally or just by demonstration, the women and the families who are around you, right? They attest to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I one of the things I love about Seattle's Union Gospel Mission, even in our programs, and I currently work in our women and children shelter and even the outreach team, is I think I'm a little biased. I mean, we do this work. The search and rescue team go out there weekly, 3 or 4 times a week on a daily basis to build relationship for our homeless neighbors that are on the street. And one of the things, many of our staff, they have stories, whether they come out of program or not, they have stories where they can attest to those our homeless neighbors that they're interacting with, which again, it draws them. But what I love about what God is doing at Seattle's Union Gospel Mission is the women and children that are coming through the doors, and the women and children that and the men that search and rescue is reaching. He is really using our stories, our compassion, to really speak to these families and these women, which is bringing hope for them to really want to try something different, to come out of homelessness. To they believe what we're saying, and it's drawing them to a place where they want to see what we have to offer, which is the love, the community, the compassion. This is beyond the basic needs that, of course, we do on a daily basis. And I will say, even as the shelter has opened, I'm just at awe at what God is doing as we are seeing families move out of homelessness. I've done this for a while, and I know that there's a recidivism of people going, just going into shelter, circling in, circling back out, circling back in. And God has done some amazing work through Seattle Union Gospel Mission where families are wanting to get help, whether they're suffering in addiction, mental health, what or just barriers around employment, loss of job, whatever that is. They are really, when they come into these doors or when they're interacting with search and rescue, they're listening and they're wanting help. They're wanting the resources and they're wanting a different way of life. And with not only Washington State, but all over the population of homelessness, our neighbors that have grown over the last 4 or 5 years is, as we all know, has been tremendous. And so we're in this season now. What I am seeing and what I'm identifying is people, our homeless neighbors, they're wanting help. They're wanting to come out of homelessness.
And you just spoke the words I was thinking, is how dire the situation is. We've seen these numbers be so high, and it seems most heartbreaking when children are involved. As adults,
Yes.
maybe we can weather the storm, if you will. But even then, why? There's no need to, because there is help available. There's a better way. And as you are telling us, Annette, with the Union Gospel Mission, there is this hope. There's this help, and there are these partners to walk alongside and come forward, right?
Yes, as we're coming into the Easter season, one of the things that Seattle's Union Gospel Mission is doing is Easter Baskets of Hope. And that's going to be an amazing event. I mean, every year we do something, but I feel like it gets better and better. And this is offering Easter baskets to over 1,300 individuals, our homeless neighbors. Each basket will remind them that they are seen and that they are loved, like we care about them. And so each basket is filled with essential snacks, invitations to join us for a meal on Easter Sunday, where they can come down and get a meal on Easter Sunday. And not only that, we have a lot of volunteers that are engaged and help with that. And it's handwritten notes for them to just, again, to let them know that they are cared for and they are loved. And it's just delivered. We are delivered. We try to deliver a message with dignity and honor. We honor them, our homeless neighbors, when they come through our doors or when we have to interact with them. And that does so much for a person when they can be honored. We're human. Some people, they don't understand. But what we believe is that homelessness there's a root cause to that. Like no one wants to be homeless. And so we try to, in our approach at Seattle's Union Gospel Mission, we try to get to the core issue of why people are homeless.
That's right. Because that's where we can start to move out of that if we understand what those issues are. So, my goodness, that is such a critical piece of it. And really, as you said, sometimes people still cycle in and out and back in again, but still they can see that they've improved somewhat and that you're always there to support and encourage and move forward.
Yeah, I think love always draws people.
Mm.
Yeah, and even just thinking back, when I think about my time in Seattle's Youth Gospel Mission in our recovery program, I always share in my testimony like the things that really helped transform my life. And each and every single one of those times was an event, of course, where something was going on, or even just the staff in general, where they poured love on me. So love always draws. You will always remember it no matter what, and it'll draw you back if you have the opportunity. And we are blessed to, at Seattle's Union Gospel Mission, to have our doors open, to be able to serve our homeless neighbors, on a daily basis. And so again, when we serve with compassion and love, it will always draw people to you.
Right. And so here you are, all these years later. But how long have you been the director of the women's shelter?
I've been the director of the shelter has been open for a little bit over a year. We celebrated a year on January 16th of this year. So we've been open a little bit over a year. So I've been about a year and a half. I've been the director of this women and children shelter.
And isn't that just such an honor? And I'm sure you feel it's a privilege as well. But what a testament to your whole journey of what you've been through, what you accomplished. This is like, can we call it a reward for your hard work, that you've had the experiences to help others that are in somewhat similar situations. They can see what you've done and accomplished, and they know they can follow that path too.
Yeah, it is. And I think God has to remind me sometime of how much of accomplish it is and a reward it is. Because for me, it's like my natural state. And I think I'm at awe at God because it is a natural state for me, not to be a director, but just to lead into and to care for the women and children that I serve. It's like a natural instinct. Now, I wouldn't have thought, as you're speaking, I wouldn't have thought, of course, years ago, that this is where I'd be.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how God would use me. I wouldn't have thought in a million years to speak to what you're saying, but he found it so, he cared enough about me and loved me enough to where he doesn't waste anything now, and he just doesn't. And so for me to be able, it is absolutely what you said, a privilege and an honor to serve our homeless neighbors, to serve the women and children that come through our doors, to even connect with search and rescue. Our teams sometimes go out on search and rescue as a reminder, like because sometimes you can get caught up in this work, just as a reminder of what God has called us here to do.
Right. And it's so great to hear you phrase it in the way that you have, Annette, because it's just a reminder, that you would not have imagined yourself being here. What kinds of miracles God performs, does perform in our lives if we are open to that, not have our preconceived notions like, no, I'm not, I'm just, all these negative kinds of things. Be open to how God can make miracles happen.
Yeah, I think when I think about that, I think about because I'm a grandmother and I have two daughters, and it's in my story. And two of my daughters is suffering an addiction. One actually is now in our recovery program, but I raised my grandkids as well. And so I think about even just with the Easter holiday coming up and the times when I was in my addiction, and then the times that I went to when I decided to give my life to Christ. And I went to Whole Place for treatment and recovery. And I think about all the holidays and that I missed, and that I also did not provide for my own children and even some of my grandchildren. And when I went into Whole Place, just going through that process of healing and stuff, and then having holidays and being reminded of how loved we are when we were in program, and really the meaning of the holidays. And I was able to start giving my grandkids those good memories, and reminding them of how much they're loved. And this is why we celebrate Easter, and be able to do Easter egg hunts with them and provide just family community meals, and really so they can experience what Easter is. What does Easter mean? Because before that, I wasn't doing that because I was in my addiction.
Right.
So that's what Salvation Gospel Mission provided for me and my family and my grandchildren.
And it shows again how your daughters were growing up during a time when you were still in your addictive lifestyle. So that was the modeling. But now they see you differently. So you're modeling a different way. Simultaneously, your grandchildren are seeing you at this stage. So it's there's so much hope. What a great name for this center to be Hope Place Women and Children's Program, right?
And yes, it is amazing. It is.
Well, I'm just in awe then of God's work in you, but you're being willing to give yourself to it, and thus the rewards, if you will, that are being reaped, and others benefiting. Yes, your daughters, but these other women, these other children in the program, in the shelter, are really making life changes for themselves.
Yes, they are. And again, I don't think I can, and I'm not being biased. I really am speaking what I see happening
Hmm.
in not only our shelter spaces, but also our recovery programs. When women and children are, and especially when women, our homeless neighbors are coming right off the streets, right? There's a lot of barriers that people have, but what I am seeing this day, because there's been periods where it's like, oh, people aren't coming in, they don't want to come in. We've experienced that too, if I were to be honest and real. But I'm telling you, what I'm we are experiencing in this season is people really wanting help when they're coming in off the streets. But I also think that has to do with the services that we provide and the love and care that we provide for them. It's the culture, the atmosphere that create for our homeless neighbors that's coming off the street, how we treat them with love and dignity and honor. It draws them, and then it helps them to see it opens them up to being able to trust and to listen to us. And then we're able to talk to them about the resources and how much God loves them, and a better way of life for them. And they're able to hear.
You're really taking this holistic approach to it,
Yes, yes.
this awareness that we are not just this physical body
Mm,
here, being aware that there is that spirit inside of us, that
mm.
and to acknowledge God and see God's work in our lives.
Well, yeah, because regardless if you're in Christ or you're not in Christ, we are all born with a empty space to where
Mm.
we are always yearning for something, right?
Yes.
There's a hole there to where it's just our human nature. Like we're always looking for something more or something else. And so what we believe and what we do is that Christ is the center of that, and He's the one that can fill that hole in our lives.
Right. So, what a great place to be. What a great service the Union Gospel Mission provides to the community. And as we said, this is such a challenging time. It feels even more challenging. And to have this place, these places, because it's not just one location, and the people. The staff and the volunteers reaching out. What a gift that is to the community to help even one person, but there's more than just one. I mean, and you are one,
Yeah.
and look where you are, right?
Yeah, we have multiple ministries for our men. We have different locations. Our men's shelter downtown, where they will be hosting the Easter baskets of hope. They'll be giving those out, and they'll be hosting, which they do every year, a meal on Easter Sunday for our homeless neighbors. And then we have our various long-term treatment program facilities, the Hope Place being one, and then Riverton being another one for the men, and then Capitol Hill another. So we have different ministries. We have our jail ministry, we have our dental service, we have our legal service to meet, and then of course our emergency enhanced shelter to meet with the very basic needs of people, to help them. And then we have the longer term programs if people, our homeless neighbors are willing to go into those programs. And that's our ultimate goal. And not everybody we encounter has experienced addiction, even though they're homeless. Not everybody. Some people just have some mental health challenges, and we also have a behavioral health team as well. And some people were just loss of employment, or hardship or whatever it is. But we also have a ministry that will help people that have experienced, they may have some medical issues going on and they have nowhere to go if they get out of the hospital. And we have services for that too as well.
And that too, we know, is so critical because just
Mhm.
living on the street, I would imagine, for a short time. And I walk along the streets of downtown Seattle, where I work as well. And it's gut wrenching. It's heartbreaking to see,
Yeah.
what people sleeping on the sidewalks, and the weather's been bad, but how dangerous that is, and some of them are attacked. So to end up in a hospital, and then you think, where do I go? So here's the Union Gospel Mission. You have those
Mhm.
resources available.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that Seattle's Union Gospel Mission that we created that piece of the program, because what happens is we also have an intake and referral team where all of our now we do where all of our calls are funneled in, and before they were going to each and every site. And what we were identifying is that how can we serve that population of guests. A lot of them, there's not an age barrier on it, but a lot of them are older people, and they might have just had a surgery, or they need to have a surgery, and they have nowhere to go. And so the hospitals are calling, like, we need a bed for this person, but they can't do our programs, right? They don't even need our programs. They just need a space to come to where they can be cared for and loved on, and get the resources they need to try to get housing right for themselves. And so we do provide that for them. And so it's amazing.
It is truly amazing to have that. Well, I'll call it a safety net, but it's really
Mhm.
this a hope net that helps
Mhm.
people to really then get back on their feet again. Now the
Yeah.
thing is, and we can attest to how critically important the programs are, but they don't happen just out of thin air. It requires people involvement. It requires money involvement. So
Mhm.
that's a piece here too. That while you give out a lot, asking for support and donations is a key part, I think.
Yeah, we have an amazing team that does that as well. It's out of my area, but
Yeah.
I know that we have an amazing team, our donor relation teams that reach out, and we have a lot of volunteers. We absolutely could not do this work without our volunteers. And so, if anyone is ever interested, they can go to our ugm.org website, and they can find many ways to volunteer, or if they're trying to donate, they can find the resource for that on our website. But
Perfect.
we're donated funded, and we don't take state money or funding or any of that kind of resources. And so we're solely operate off of donations.
And I think there's something that's really powerful about that I think of it kind of more grassroots. It's people involvement. It's
Hmm.
real compassion is part of it. We
Hmm.
wouldn't be donating funds if somewhere in our heart we didn't feel that kind
Hmm.
of prompting and acting on it. So I think there's something again that about that builds a stronger sense of community and really a great foundation for Union Gospel Mission.
Yeah, Union Gospel Mission has been operating for 90 years, starting out as a soup kitchen during the Great Depression. And we've been 90 years, and we've been doing this work ever since. So, of course, the hand of God has to be on it, but also to speak to what you just said, the people really want to see lives change. And I think we have proven in our outcomes that people's lives are changed. I'm a perfect example of that. People's lives are being changed. It's not just another place where people go, rotate out, rotate. Lives are being changed, and many lives. I can't even count the many lives that I've seen even prior to this shelter, and being the director over at Hope Place. All the women that have walked across that stage and graduated out of program, now we have an aftercare services, and we are seeing the fruit of the donors, the fruit of the volunteers, the fruit of even the women that have done the hard work, right?
Yeah.
Mainly them. We see the fruit of that.
Yes. Oh, it is so beautiful. It must make your heart just kind of explode almost, but in a good way.
Yeah, it
To
makes me feel like I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
mm,
And that's it, fulfilling enough, because whenever you have an opportunity to speak into someone's life to make their life better,
Hmm.
to help with transformation, is something inside. That's that void that you're trying to
Yeah.
fill. That's a little, I get that void filled a little bit more and more, because it just feels right. Like you're helping someone, you're being a part of someone's transformation, you're helping to be help someone to change their life. I mean, what better thing is it to do?
That's what I would say is our life's purpose, to make life
Yeah.
better for others. And in doing that, isn't it just
Mhm.
amazing how our life improves, how our life just
Yes.
gets better, brighter because of really being in that kind of cycle, a harmony of hope.
Yeah, it's amazing. I Seattle's gospel mission is one of a kind.
Yeah.
They really are. They invest in of course we invest in the women and children that we serve in the men's ministry, and all of our programs is because we care for them, and they know we care for them and we love them, and we want to see lives transformed. It's not just about serving a meal, it's not just about having a program. It's about seeing lives transformed forever.
Yes. And it happens one person at a time, sharing the story, sharing the hope, just as you are sharing your story and what
Mhm.
you've been able to accomplish over these years, that we're not defined by our past. We're able to
Mhm.
make these changes and we be open to God's prompting in our life.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you again, I just think are amazing, Annette Smiley. I am just so grateful that we've
Mhm.
had this opportunity to learn more about you and certainly more about the Seattle's Union Gospel Mission, all the important work that's going on. And again, for us to participate, be actively involved, donating funds, donating goods, certainly being partners. How do we do that?
You can go to ugm.org and look at our website, and it'll prompt you to different ways you can donate or volunteer. And
Wonderful.
also see about the programs and the work that we are doing here at the Seattle Union Gospel Mission.
And remember, Easter is coming, right? Easter.
Easter is coming, and we're excited about the Easter baskets of hope, and that they're going to be distributing to our homeless neighbors, letting them know that we love them, we care for them, we see them. And then also on Easter Sunday, there will be a meal. There's an invite in their basket so they can come and have a nice, amazing Easter meal, and be in community.
Yes. What
Yeah.
an amazing and important community this is
Mhm.
in our Seattle area. And Annette Smiley, thank you for all that you do. And I just love your story. I love who you are becoming each and every day. You
Mhm.
are glowing. People don't see the screen as you and I see each other, but you are glowing. And I am just so
Mhm.
grateful for all the life changes you've had and that you're sharing them with others.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege. Thank you. Thank you for having us this morning.
You're so welcome. Thank you for your presence here this morning to hear these important stories, all of which I hope will bring you encouragement, provide you with hope, and bring you peace. Please check the station's website for the podcasts, for more information about these guests, and please share the stories with your family and friends. I'm Kate Daniels. If you'd like to connect with me, simply send me an email, katedaniels@hubbardradio.com. Have a spirit-filled day.
Thank you for listening to Inspirational Women. Tune in every Sunday morning at this time to hear about those truly empowering the Northwest community, all for the greater good. Sunday Morning Magazine and Inspirational Women are a public service of Hubbard Radio Seattle.